Hello YouTubers, I'm Parvez and welcome to Python Flask CRUD web application development. So before this, I request from all of you to subscribe my channel and also like the video. So this will be a one video complete course, and there will be different topics that we will cover in this one video. So by watching this video, you will be familiar with different concepts like building Flask project, familiar with SQLAlchemy, because we are using SQLAlchemy in this video, working with Jinja template and template inheritance, working with MySQL database, and many more. So also you can check table of content for this video. You can check the video description. I have added a table of content with a time and stamp for this video. So now let me show you that what we are going to build in this video. You can see we have right now I have just three in here, for example 3 data. Now I want to add new, so you can see this is I'm toggling a bootstrap model. So now let me just add for example, let me call it new whatever you want, and you can add an email address in here, and you can give whatever a phone number and add employee. Okay, employee inserted successfully, and you can see, so now you can see we have a new employee in here with email and also the phone number. And if you check the database, I'm using web server, you can see I have another employee with this ID 11 ID because I have removed some data, and it's my ID is auto increment. So this was for adding. Also you can edit, for example I want to edit this, like let me call it for example updated, and you can change the email address to updated, and you can give what number, for example let me give 999, and you can click on update. So you can see employee updated successfully, and you can see we have a nice flash message that you can remove this like this. You can see now it's updated employee updated at Gmail, and this is the number. And if you check in the MySQL database, so now it's updated. Also you can delete. We have a delete functionality. For example, I want to delete this 11, and you can click on delete. Are you sure for delete? Click on OK. So now employee has been deleted and we don't have that. And if you check your database, now it is deleted. So now this will be a simple project that we are going to work. Now let's get started, and we are going to create this project in the PyCharm IDE. Okay, now I have created my project in PyCharm IDE. So before this, you need to install Flask. So for installation of Flask, you can simply write pip install Flask, and it will be installed. Also, because we are using SQLAlchemy, so you need to install that. So you can simply use pip install Flask SQLAlchemy, and it will be installed. So you can see it is an extension for Flask that adds support to SQLAlchemy to your application. And after installation, we need this SQLAlchemy with Flask. So now in my project, you can see that I have a static folder. I have created a static directory. So you can just simply right click new, and you can click directory, and you need to give the name of static. So when you want to use CSS styles, or for example bootstrap styles or JavaScript in your application, you need to add those files in your static folder. So you can see I have added the bootstrap styles. So you can see this is my CSS bootstrap, this is the fonts, and this is the GS. So I have already added in here. You can download the bootstrap from their official website. I'm using the latest version 4.4. If you don't want to use static files that I have added, you can also use the CDN. So it is the easiest way that you can just simply copy this for CSS and these for JavaScript. But I'm using the like this. I have added these files in here. After that, I have created another folder at name of templates. So it's for your template. For example, you're going to create index.html or about.html. You need to add those templates in here. Make sure that the spelling is should be like this. So templates. If you don't give like this, there will be error. So now I'm going to create another in Python file. I call it, for example, app.py. Okay, the first thing, let me just create the first thing I need. I'm going to import from Flask. I'm going to import Flask. So first, let me just create a simple Flask application. Now, after this, you can just simply create your app in here. So Flask, and you can give __ name. I have a complete video series on Flask. You can check that. So after this, now we need to create our route. So .route, this should be an index route, and I don't want to write something, so let me just add in here. And okay, now after this, let me just create div index. And in here you can, for right now, let me just return a hello Flask application, but later we will change this to our HTML. So in here you can add your HTML. For right now we are going to just write simply text, return a simple text. After this, now let me run my server. So and I can app.run, and if you want the debugging should be true, so you can use debug to true. So this is for development level, and the debug is true. When you want to publish your application, your application be in publish level, you need to change this. You need to remove this. Okay, so now let me just run this. Okay, now you can see it's running on this port and this local host. Let me just now go to this 5000, and you can see we have hello Flask application. Okay, now after this, let me just now create my template in here. So let me just create a new template, and the templates folder, I'm going to create an HTML file and I call it index. And let me just give the title, so you can give whatever you want. And in here, let me just write an h1 tag, hello from template. And now in here, instead of returning a simple text, let me just import render template. Okay, so in here I'm going to return a render template, and you need to give your template name. So my template name is index.html. Okay, now restarting the server, and so now if I refresh this, you can see now we have hello from template. In this part, we are going to talk about Jinja template inheritance. So now in this video we have just one index.html, but maybe you will have 10 or 12 HTML files. Now you don't want to write for your every HTML file like this, HTML or head or body. It's we are repeating codes in here. So by this reason we are using Flask Jinja template inheritance. For that, you can just simply, we are going to create a new HTML file in here. I call it base.html, and let me just copy and paste this in here like this. So sorry. Okay, Now instead of doing for example this in our base.html, we are going to create blocks. So for example, I'm going to create a block title, and you need to end the block. So end block, and let me just copy this and paste this in here. So let me remove this hello from template, and this time this is block body, and we are going to end block. So we have just one base.html, and now we are going to extend this in our index.html. Let me remove all of them, and in your index.html you can extend this. So extends our base.html, and we have a block title. So block title end block, and this is our title. For example, I'm going to give it home, whatever you want, and we have a block body in here. So block body, and you can end the block. So end block, and between these blocks you can write your body. For example, let me just simply write out from template inheritance like this. Okay, so now if I refresh my page, you can see from template inheritance, even we are going to add all our static files that we have created. Our bootstrap styles, and also our JavaScript GS styles in our base.html, and you can simply use that in your index or whatever you want. You have contact.html or you have about.html. So now let me just add my files in here, static files in here. Okay guys, now I have copied my first I have copied my bootstrap. So you can see I have a link href and I have a URL for. Now it's looking for the static folder, and in the static folder the file name is in the CSS, it's looking for bootstrap.main.css. so it's looking for this file, and after that we have our EL style sheet. So now let me just close this like this. Okay, so now after this we have our JavaScript, so you need to add this at the end. So we have a script type text JavaScript, and this is the source SRS, and it's looking for static folder, and after that the file name is in the GS, it's looking for this jQuery. And also for the JavaScript it's the same, so the source static and the file name is GS bootstrap.main.js. it's looking for this folder. So now I have added these files, and now if I refresh my page, you will see that you can see that the text is changed because we are using bootstrap styles. Now after this we are going to create our header.html. Now I want to create a new file in here, HTML, and I call it header. Now in the header, let me just copy this index because we are using our base. So okay, so now it extends from base.html, and let me just call it, you can give, or even you don't need to give any title for this because we want to include this. The purpose of this part is that you can add this in your index.html, but I want to show you that how you can include an external HTML file to the Flask application. So even you don't need to give this title in here, but let me just give it Flask CRUD. And now in the block body in here we are going to create our header. So in here the first thing I'm going to create a div class. It's called Jumbo so Jumbotron P3, and now in here I'm going to create a div class. It's a bootstrap class will text container like this. So now you can in here add an h1 tag, so Python Flask CRUD web application development. Also it is not container, it's center, so sorry, it is center. Okay, so now we have created this, and now we need to include this in our index.html. so you can just simply include this file in here. So it is header.html. okay, so now let me save this and let me refresh. You can see we have a nice header in here with Jumbotron style. Let me just remove this. Okay, right now I don't want to remove, but I will remove this. Okay, so you can see we have a nice header in here. Okay, now in this part we are going to design our body, and also, for example, we are going to add a button in here for add new employee, and also we are going to create a table for retrieving of our database data. So now let's get started. The first thing I need in the index.html and in the block body, I'm going to remove just this. I don't need to this. Now I need to create a div class container, and in our div class container in here I'm going to create another div class. I call it row, and also I need to create another div class. I call it colMD12. So now after this I need to create a div class Jumbotron. So div class, I call it Jumbotron, and it is P3. And in here I'm going to create an h2 tag, and I call it manage. And after that, let me just create a bold tag, and I call it employees, like this. Okay, so after this, now in here I need to create a button. The type is button, and also I need to use a bootstrap class. So I need to give a class that is btn success. Let me close the button, so like this. Now let me just refresh my page. Okay, now I have like this, I have a Jumbotron style, and let me just make the button. In here you need to, for example, add new employees. Let me refresh this. So you can see we have add new employees. Now okay, now we are going to give a data toggle in here, because we are going to toggle a model. So let me bring it in here. Now in here you can just simply write data toggle. It is a model, bootstrap model, and also we are going to give a data target, because what model we are going to target. So I'm going to call it my model, like this. Okay, so my model. Now also let me just because we want my button should be in the right, so I'm going to give a float right. So float right. Now let me just refresh this. Now you can see we have right now it's not functional, and we haven't added the code for toggling of this model. After this, we are going to create our table in here. So because for retrieving of data, we need to create a table in here in this section. So let me create table, and the class is table hover. So I want to hover table, and the color should be a dark table like this. Okay, so now I'm going to create tr in here, and in the tr I'm going to add th, so it's table header. So the first one is id. Let me just copy this. Another one is name. Let me just copy once more. We have email. Okay, the another one is let me just copy. This is this is phone, and also we are going to give an action in here, so action like this. Okay, now let me just refresh this. Okay, so you can see we have id, name, email, phone, and also action. Now after this, let me just add some data for my td. So let me just create another tr in here, and so td. For right now I'm going to just add random data, but in the later parts we will retrieve data from MySQL database. So right now we haven't created our database. Now, so this is id, the name is, for example, whatever you want, and you can give an email address in here, and you can give a phone number, for example, whatever you want. You can give a phone number in here, and also you can give action. So for the action, it's just a little different from this. So we are going to create a td in here, and for the action, because we are using let me just create ahref, and this is for right now I'm not going to add something in here, but I will add this. Okay, let me just give a class, so btn warning, or let me just use warning, or you can use for example success. I'm using warning and this is btn, even though it's not a warning, but I'm using, no problem, it's just a design. And also for this we need to add a data toggle, because we are going to toggle a model, so we need to add a data toggle, and also we need to give a data target. So for the data target you need to give a name, so it is model edit like this. Now let me just close this, close my tag, and you can write edit. Okay, so now if you refresh this, you can see we have random data, and the action we have edit. Okay, so now this was our edit, and for our delete it's simple, ahref. Right now let me leave it blank, and class is btn. Let me just give danger, and the size is btn xs. And for this I don't need any data toggle or target, so I'm going to just give an on click for this, and I want to return, so return confirm, and you can write, are you sure to delete, like this, and you can write delete. So now let me refresh this. Okay, now you can see if I click on delete, I am receiving are you sure to delete, but right now it's not working. Okay, now in this part I'm going to work on our add new employee model and also edit model. So for example, if we click on our add new employee, we are going to toggle a bootstrap model. with some fields that user can fill, and also add the employee, and also we are going to work on our edit. So first let me work on our add new model. So if you remember, we have when we have created this button, we have added a data toggle, and also we have added a data target of my model. Now we need to create this my model. You can check Bootstrap website. There are a lot of models that you can use. I have just copied one of the models, and I have bring some changes to that model. Now at the bottom in here, you can see, and where you have your table and this div, we are going to let me just copy. I have already created this, and don't worry, I will add this source code to the video description. Let me just copy this and paste in here. Okay, now let me show you the code and a little bit. It's a model add employee. We have a div ID. This is the target that we have. This is my model target. If you see in here, this is my model. You make sure that it's the same, so if it be different, it will not be shown. So the class is model feed, and the role is dialog. Also I have a model dialog class, model contained, and this is the model title, add employee, and we have a model body. So in the model body, this is the action. For right now, we haven't created this action for inserting our data, but we will create this when we start our coding in Python. So the method is post, and in the body we have a form group where we have a name. You can see we have input type text and classes form control, and also we need to give make sure that you give a name, also a name for this field. Also require this one because I don't want it should be empty. And the another one is our email, so it's also text. You can change this. For example, let me change this to email, and the name is email, and the required is 1. Also we have a phone, so let me just change this to number, not phone. Okay, number, and the name is phone, and the required is 1. So this was our body model. And also we have so this is the button. So let me just this is the button that we are going to submit. It's a primary button, and we are going to add employee. So let me just refresh this, and I will show you. And if I click on add new, you can see that this is our text fields, name, email, and this is this button that we have set. So this is the button of add employee. It's a primary button, and after that we have a model footer. So in the model footer we have just a clause, so it's add data dismiss. So you can see we have a clause. If I click this, it's dismissible. So like this you can do. For right now it's not functional and we cannot add, but we will use this. We will start our coding about this in the later parts. Okay, now this was our add employee. Now we are going to work on our edit. So when a user click on edit, we should toggle model. So now let me just, this is my index.html, and you can use the same model, just change these. You can just copy. Now I have already copied. Let me just save this, copy this, so it's just my edit model, and you need to add this where you have you need to add this in your table. So in this section you need to add this. So let me just add this in here like this, and so now let me just check this, that why the tag is giving error, or I need to just remove this one. Okay, now it was one more tag in here. Okay, so this was our you can see it's the same model, but we have just given, this is a model edit. We have the same content in here, this is a class model dialog, and let me just I think I have forgot to add the model target in here. Okay guys, yeah, I have forgot to add my model target because you can see I have refreshed this. You can see the it's looking messy because if you see in our edit, so we have let me show you, we have a model edit data target, so we need to add this at the top, and let me just copy this. So this is the model edit, add in here, and also I need to add the div tag again in here because now okay, now it's correct. You can see I have div id model edit, and it is targeting our this model edit that we have created in here for our edit button. And we have our model dialog, model header, this update information, and right now we have just empty for the form action. We have some text fields, input text. The first one is the ID, so it is a heading because when we want to update we need this ID. And also we have for our name, so right now I have given just a hard-coded value for this, and I have written my name, but we will change this in the later parts. And we have for email, also we have value, it is hard-coded value, and also we have for the phone number. So like this we have a button, it's update, and let me just refresh this and show you. Okay, now if I click on edit, you can see we have our update information. This was our between primary. So this is our model footer that we have just closed. So you can use this model if you see Bootstrap. You can get this model from the Bootstrap, and you can change this according to that. So now you can see we have our add new and we have our edit. Now our designing has been completed, and the next part we are going to start our coding. So far so good. We have completed our design section. So you can see now we have a nice design section in here. Now it's time to create our database and also tables. So now let's get started. The first thing I need, I'm using WAMP server, and I'm going to create a database called, for example, CRUD. For right now, I'm not going to create table in here because I want to add tables using SQLAlchemy. Before this, I have said that I'm using SQLAlchemy. Now first we are going to import SQLAlchemy. Make sure that you have installed SQLAlchemy. So from Flask _ SQLAlchemy, we are going to import SQLAlchemy. Okay, now after this in here, the first thing we need to add a secret key, because if we don't add we will receive error. So let me just add a secret key in here, and you can add whatever you want. For example, let me just add secret key. Now after this, now we need to add some configuration in here. So the first thing we need to configure our database URI. Now when you are working with SQLAlchemy, you need to specify this. So SQLAlchemy _ database URI. I'm using MySQL database, but you can use SQLite, and also you can use PostgreSQL as you wish. So for my purpose, I'm using MySQL, and I'm going to write the engine as MySQL, and this is my username, so it's root. And for the password, the second parameter is the password. So in here I'm going to leave it blank because I don't have password. After this, we need to add at localhost, and now at the end you need to add your database name, so it's CRUD. So we have our this is our database, this is our username, this is our password. I have leave it blank. This is localhost, and at the end we need to add our database name. After this also I'm going to add app.config. I need to add this SQLAlchemy track modification, because if I don't add this I will receive a warning. So track modifications. So make this false, like this. SQLAlchemy track modifications. Okay, now after this we are going to create the SQLAlchemy object, and we are going to pass app in here. So now the database connection is completed. Now we are going to create our model, our table model. Now let me just create whatever you want to give. I'm going to give it data, but you can give it employee, whatever you want. So now it inherits, or it extends from db.model. And now I need the fields. So the first field is db.column, and it is db.integer, and also I want to make it primary key, make it true. So this was my ID. Now after ID I'm going to create a name. So for this is db.column, and it is string, so the data type is string, and you want to specify the character. So I want to give it 100, like this. Now let me just copy this and paste it once more. I need for email, also I need for phone, like this. And you can change this, but I want to give it 100. Okay, now after this we are going to create the constructor of this class, and we need to pass these name, email, and also the last one is phone. Okay, now after this we need to self this. So self.name, name, self.email, email, and self.phone, phone. Okay, so now we have created our model, data model. Now we need to add these data model to our CRUD database that we have created. Now in SQLAlchemy you can do this simply. So let me show you. Just I'm going to use terminal, Python terminal, and the first thing I need to write Python. I need to open a Python interpreter. Now in here, first thing I need from app, I'm going to import DB. I want to import this DB, and after this now you can simply write db.create_all and hit enter. Okay, now we don't get any error, and if I check this CRUD and my data, you can see I have a data table in here. And if I open this, these are my fields, my model fields that I have created in here. So this was our database, and the next part we will work on inserting or adding data. Okay, now in this part I want to show you that how you can insert data. For example, if a user click on add new employee and add name, email, phone, and click on add employee, the data should be inserted in our CRUD table, MySQL database. So now let's get started. First thing I'm going to create a route in here. So let me create the route in here. Okay, at app dot route, and the route is insert, and the methods, we need to specify the methods, so it is a post method. Okay, now after this we are going to create div insert. The first thing we need, we are going to check if the request is post. So if we need to import request in here. So if request dot method is post, sorry, okay, so if it is post, we are going to get our data from the text inputs that we have created in the HTML. So you can use for and one important issue, that I'm not using Flask forms, WTF forms. I'm just using HTML default forms. So request.form name, so this is the name that we have given in our index.html, and I have said that so model add employee, and you can see that this is our name, and we have our email, and we have our phone. So okay, name, and let me just copy this and paste it in here. We need for email, also we need for phone, okay. So after this we need to create our data in here, and in the constructor you can see that we need to add these name, email and phone, and we are going to add these name, email and phone. And after this we need to add this, so db.session.add, and we are going to add our my data, and also we need to commit the data, so db.session.commit, and at the end we are going to return, so we need to import redirect in here, so redirect and URL for. Okay, return redirect URL for, and in here we need to add our endpoint. So when user add, we want to redirect that to the index, so to the index endpoint. You can sorry, okay, you can simply add index in here like this. Okay. Now after this we have created this insert method. Now we need to open our index.html, and in our form action, in here we need to add this, so URL underscore for, and we are going to add our insert in here. Okay, now first let me check okay, so let me now run this, because run my project. Okay, now let me just refresh my page. Now if I click on add new employee, and for example I'm going to add something, my name, and you can add an for example email address, whatever you want, and you can add a phone number for example like this, and add employee. Okay, so the employee it's has been added because we don't have any messaging system flash message, but we will add that. So now let me just check my CRUD and my data. Okay, so you can see I have my first data in here. Let me just add another one, for example Bob, and you can add a number in here, so like this, add employee, and let me just add one more. You can add an email address like this and add employee. And now if you check the database, you can see now we have 3 data in here. Right now it's not showing in here because we haven't written the code for these that for retrieving of our data from the database. So now we are going to create our Flash message. Right now if we add a new employee, we are not receiving any confirmation in here. So I want to create a Flash message that when we add a new employee, we should receive a flash in here that, for example, employee inserted successfully. So for this, the first thing you need, we are going to create Flash in here, and after this, in our insert after commit, we are going to flash, and you need to, for example, data, or we can call it employee inserted successfully. Now after this, open your index.html, and because we want the flash message should be in here between our button, so between the button and our table below the button. By this reason, I'm going to add this in here in my between the table, my table, and my button. So now let me just create so with messages, and we are going to use get flashed messages. So it is a built-in, it's a method of our Flash. After this, we are going to create, now let me just end with in here, so end with. Okay, now we are going to create an if in here, so if messages, let me also end if in here, end if. Now in here we need to create a for loop because we are going to iterate on our message. So for message in messages, let me end for in here, and I'm going to print my message in here, so like this. Okay, now let me just save this, and this time let me refresh. Okay, because we are receiving this okay, now let me add new employee, for example, let me call it flash at gmail.com, whatever the phone you want to add employee. Okay, so now you can see we have employee inserted successfully, but right now it's not looking good because we haven't added and also you can check, let me show you that we have the data in here, so you can see it's Flash. Now we need to add some bootstrap styles for in here. Okay, now in our for section in here, I'm going to create a div class. I call it alert success, and also it should be alert, so alert dismissible, and you can give a rule, so it is alert. Now we are going to create a button, so button type, and the type is button, and the class is close, and also we need to give a data dismiss. It is alert, and area label, so area label, and for the area label I am going to give it close, like this. Now in the between this I'm going to create a span, so span area hidden, and make this to true, like this. And in here we are going to add this X or clue sign in here. Okay, after this we are going to just cut this message and paste this below our button, like this. Okay, so now let me just refresh this again, and if I add new employee, let me call it new flash at gmail.com, and you can add, for example, a phone number and add employee. You can see employee inserted successfully, and we have a clues in here. So if you click on this, you can see it dismissed, and if you check your data, we have a new flash in here. So like this you can create flash messages. Now we are going to retrieve our data. So we have data in our database, but we need to show the data in our table in our main page, like this. So as you know, this is a static data that we have created, but we need to show these data in our this table. So now for retrieving data in our app, okay, now let me just we have created the index. Now in here I'm going to create all data, and in here you can get the data dot query dot all. I'm going to get all the data like this, and in here I need to pass this in a template context. So let me call it employees all data, like this. Okay, now after this you need to open your index.html in here, and we need to create a for loop. So you need to come down in this section, so before this tr, because we need to show data in here. So in this section let me just create for row in, and the we have created this employees, and for row and employees, and now we need to end for loop. So make sure that you end for loop in the correct place. So if you don't do this, you will face two problem. So now you need to come down. We have model edit, so we are going to come down model footer, we have div. Okay, so we have table, and before table we are going to close this end for, so end for loop. Now after this we are going to now we have created this. Now we need to retrieve our data. So where is it? Now in here. Okay, so the first data is our ID, so you can simply write row.id, and now if I refresh this, so you can see I have received my ID in here, and I have 6 ID. Now I want to do the same for my row.name, so row.name, and also for email row.email, and at the end we have the phone, so row.phone. Now let me just refresh this. Now you can see we have successfully retrieved our all data, our ID, name, email, phone, and these are the same as we have in our database. In this part we are going to work on our edit button, so how you can edit these employees. So right now these are the data that we have hard-coded data. Okay, now for this it will take some more codes. Okay, so the first thing you need, let me bring my model edit. So where is it? Yeah, in this section. Okay, before model edit, let me bring my buttons. So okay, now these are the two buttons. So in our edit, you can see this is our edit. In this section we need to add update, and we are going to get the ID, so row.id. And also in your model edit, so in here in the model edit you need to add your row.id, so row.id. okay, now if I show you, so let me refresh this. Okay, so now if I click on edit, you can see at we have you can check this in the left side. We have update 1, we have update 2, we have update 3. These are the ID of these data that we have created in here. So now after this, right now if I click on edit, so let me if I click on edit, so okay, so also you need, we have added this, now also we need to add our row ID in here, so row.id. so first you need to add the row.id in here, and after that we need to target our model in here, row.id, and after this you need to add this row.id in your model.edit. okay, so if I refresh, you can see I have but right now also we don't have the data, the same data that we are going to edit. Now for this, let me just first create my method in here, or first let me just get the data. So you can come down, and instead of giving this hard-coded data, we are going to add row.name, and after this we are going to do this for our row.email, so row.email, and also we need to do this for our in the value section, row.phone. now let me just refresh this. okay, so now if I click on edit, this time you can see we are not receiving that data. We are receiving the data from our database. So you can see bob@gmail.com, and if you click in new flash, we have a new flash like this. okay, now we are going to work on our this update. So let me open my code, and in here I'm going to write my update method. So after insert, I'm going to create a new route. okay, so in here I need to just create a new route, so at app.route, so this is update, and the methods I'm going to give it get, and also post. Now def update. Now I'm going to check, so if request dot method is post, I'm going to create my data and data dot query dot get, and I can get my ID, so request dot form dot get ID. So this is the hidden ID that we have created in our index.html in our model edit. So we are going to get this, and after that we can my data.name, so request.form, this is name. Let me just copy this. We have name, we have email, so this is email, and we have phone, so this is our phone. And at the end we need to db.session, we need to commit our database, so dot commit, and you need to give a flash message, so employee updated successfully, and after that we need to redirect return redirect URL for index, so we need to redirect to our index page. Okay, now after this so now in the form action we need to add this, so you need to open your index.html, and we are going to find our model, yeah, it's edit model, and in here I'm going to add this, so URL for, and the name is update. Okay, let me just run this once. Okay, now let me refresh my page, and if I click on edit, for example, let me just update it, or you can give so the email address, for example, updated@gmail.com, and you can give a number, for example 1111, and if I click on update, okay, we have error in here. Let me just check this, that what's the error. So guys, the problem is in my if you see an update, we are getting this ID, but if you check my index.html, I have a hidden input type, and you can see, let me just show you, in my edit model I have a hidden input type and the name is ID, so this is this ID, and I need to add my row.id in here, so I have forgot to add this, so row.id. Now let me just save this, and let me just refresh this. For example, now I want to update this, so let me call it updated name, and let me just make it updated@gmail.com, and you can give so 1111. So now if I click on update, now you can see employee updated successfully, and now you can see this record is updated, and if you check the database, you will see that it is updated. So you can do like this update if you want to update another record. For example, you can make it in another name, and you can change this to like this, and you can give a phone number, and you can update. So employee updated successfully, and now you can see our employee is updated. So like this you can update your records in SQLAlchemy. Okay guys, now the last thing that we are going to learn, that is delete. So how you can delete a record. For this you need to open your index.html and where we have our delete button. So now let me just bring it. It is in, okay, now in here we need to add delete in here, and we are going to get the row.id. So now if I refresh my page, you can see at the bottom I am getting the ID. So ID2, ID3, ID4, ID5, ID6. Okay, so now I am going to write my delete method in here, and I want to delete a record. So in this section let me create an app.route, and this time this is delete, and also I'm going to just give an ID for this, like this. And the methods, let me just give it get post. So delete ID. Now first we need to get my data dot.query.get ID, and after this we can db.session.delete, and we are going to delete my data. And after this you need to db.session, you need to commit the database, so .commit, and we are going to add a flash message. So employee deleted successfully, like this. Okay, and also we need to return redirect URL to the index, so index. Okay, now just it's simple. Now let me just run this again. Let me close the first tab. Okay, so now it is running. Let me just refresh my page, and for example I want to delete this first record. If I click on delete, okay, now you can see employee deleted successfully, and we don't have the first one. If you check your database, and you can see we don't have this in here. Also you can delete another one, so let me just delete the 6 number. You can delete this, delete it successfully, and you can delete another one. Okay, and you can see we have 3 data in here. So this was a complete series on Python Flask CRUD application using SQLAlchemy. So I highly request from all of you to please subscribe to my channel, and also like this video and share this video.